Number two, if you're going to continue in this process of resetting your life, you have to execute his will daily. Y'all here? Somebody say daily. In other words, you have to make a habit of responding to his word immediately. You have to execute his will daily. You have to make sure that you remove yourself from the equation. And if God said do it, I'm doing it. And if he says it through delegated authority, guess what I'm still doing? I'm doing it because where delegated authority is, God's presence is. Okay, that didn't go too well. That didn't go. Some of y'all was like, delegated authority. Wait a minute. I got to listen to my supervisor, and listening to my supervisor, listening to God? Yes. Black, no, that's not that. That's not Bible. That's not Bible. Wait a minute. Who you think getting promotions? People that respond immediately and execute the will of that company daily. Because you doing that lets them know that you are able to handle more responsibility and more money. God ain't got to find a way to bless you. He's saying if you outwork and if you execute my will every day, trust me, as you commit to making this new start and obeying me, one of these verses in there says, he says, I'm going to outdo myself when it comes to you. Y'all, go put it back up there. Man, listen, how can God outdo himself? He's saying so that if you examine your life and you think of the greatest thing I've done, I'm going to outdo myself. In other words, I have not seen, neither ear heard, neither has it entered into the heart of men the things that God has prepared for you. God got some stuff in reserve that he's just waiting on you to execute his will and do it daily, and then he's going to outdo himself. It says it in verse 9, God, your God will outdo himself in making things go well for you. You'll have babies, get calves, grow crops. He says, and enjoy it, and all around what? Yes, God will start enjoying you again, making things go well for you, just as he what? How many people want to see the Most High outdo himself in your life? I'm not trying to be funny. No matter how many times I've read this, I can't even comprehend how can go, because what is him do? What does that look like? Okay, I know my mother can outdo herself. She can buy me a silver Fox bike with a banana seat in 1978. Then the next year, she outdid herself and got me a 10-speed. I ain't even use all the gears. It didn't matter. I had a 10-speed. Then I seen her outdo herself, and she took me to a mountain bike. Then she outdid herself and got me a car. But if you count up all the blessings, and if you really can, that the Most High has bestowed upon you, and he's going to outdo himself, what does that look like? And all he's saying in verse 8, go back to verse 8, you got to execute my will, and part of doing that is, and you will make a new start, listening, obedient to God, keeping all his commands that I'm commanding you today. And if you do that, he's going to outdo himself. Somebody holler, God wants to outdo himself in your life. Oh, I'm telling you, when I read that, I was in the house like, huh? Then I read it to my wife. I said, look at this. And she was like, oh, that is amazing. I said, no, you're not. Look, let me find somebody. You wasn't. He's going to outdo himself. Yeah, we know Ephesians 3:20 that he'll do exceeding abundantly above all we can ask to think according to the power that worketh in us. But he's going to outdo himself. You think of the biggest, the best, and the baddest things he's ever done, and you take them all in your life and add them up, and he's going to outdo all of that.
Yes.
Can't praise God. Somebody just say, this right here is because I'm going to get in position, I'm going to execute his will, and I'm going to see him outdo himself in my life. Listen. Let me give you an example. He canceled $92,000. Say it again. $91,518.61 of debt in a day. And yet, he's saying, if you thought that was something, I'm going to outdo myself. You had cancer in over 5 spots in your body. They take the x-ray and it's gone. And he's saying, Ruby, if you think that's something, I'm going to outdo myself. Some of y'all, a few weeks ago, you started throwing psych medication on the altar, and God done restored your mind, and a doctor can't even understand how it happened. And he's saying, if you think that's something, I'm going to outdo. Man, I wish I had 3 people that would testify to say, outdo himself.